Hey everyone, Mitch coming in once again from not the Commander's Quarters studio. Yeah, I mean, this kind of production value, yeah, you don't get too used to this. At some point, I'll be back to the studio. So, with that said, though, yeah, this spoiler season has been crazy. We've seen a lot of exciting things, a lot of exciting commanders, and we have not seen anything quite like the main card I'm going to show you on this episode. With all that said, let's jump into it. So, first up, Officious Interrogation. Not the main card I want to talk about, but still a crazy good one. And one for the right deck where they're like, yeah, first round draft pick right here, if there was a commander draft. Actually, I think there is a commander draft in a way that some people play. Regardless, let's jump into an instant for Azorius Colors. This spell costs Azorius Colors more to cast for each target beyond the first. Choose any number of target players, investigate X times or exceed total number of creatures those players control. Okay, so this is kind of like that one, and I'm forgetting the name of it, but like 2 and a white, strive cost for 1 and a white, essentially. Make all those creature tokens based on the number of creatures they have. This is basically the exact same thing, but it is clue tokens instead and costs slightly less, but also slightly more restrictive casting costs. So if in a game of Commander you're picking all 3 of your opponents, that is, what, 6 mana in total instant speed, which is a decent amount to save up, but still... yeah, I mean, you can get an absurd amount of clue tokens. And obviously, you're within at least one color. I mean, white can work well with artifacts too, but mostly blue works really well with artifacts. You can do some pretty crazy things with this. I mean, just think about this plus Shimmer Dragon. A crazy good card, like, you know, tap 2 artifacts, draw a card. All of a sudden, you're like, oh, okay, cool. I make, oh, I don't know, like 20 clues or so for 6 mana at instant speed. Use them to draw 10. I can keep doing that again and again and again. Or, you know, our new Forensic Engineer, is that the one? I think the name is correct. The brand new card where it's like, hey, every single time you cast an artifact spell, make a clue. And then also, clues only cost 1 to sacrifice, essentially. So, yeah, reducing that cost down to sacrifice your clues is pretty crazy. Or like Crockplane Ironworks, of course, works really well with this. So, yeah, for an artifact-based strategy, for one that can really take advantage of those clues, this can be absolutely massive for you, and yeah, it just has a lot of potential for the right deck out there. Is it for every deck? No, I wouldn't personally count on this as like my main source of card advantage in a deck, or like one of my main ones. I'd be like, yeah, I'm definitely going to draw a lot of cards with this, because it's like, okay, at the end of the day, you need to pay a lot of mana to actually draw those cards, but if you're going to use those clues for different things, definitely consider this one. Moving on. Cranco's Buzz Crusher, that's quite the name. A 4/4 Insect Thopter with Flample, I almost said the Flample. Flample, there we go. For 4 mana, 2 red. When it enters the battlefield, for each player destroy up to 1 non-basic land player controls. For each land destroyed this way, its controller may search life for a basic land on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Yeah, keep in mind this can count your own as well. If you really feel like doing that, there are certain decks out there that want to play with, you know, their own lands in their graveyard, destroying them, replacing them. Maybe, I guess, with some landfall that would work as well. That being said, yeah, I mean, it is pretty on curve. And also, hey, if your opponents are using a bunch of non-basic lands you don't like, you know, Guy's Cradle, sure, you can throw this into a deck as well. It's very specific on what it does, though, not for every deck out there. Moving on. Starling Gorehound. This is a crazy cool card. A 1/1 dog with Menace that costs a single black mana. Whenever the creature with power 2 or less enters battlefield, control Surveil 1. Okay, you had me at Surveil 1 with small power. So this is a good amount of card selection actually for the right deck out there. Again, low power strategies or ones that use a bunch of, you know, creature tokens essentially. Typically those are power 2 or less. Surveilling is not card advantage, but it is card selection. And I'm sure there are certain things that pair with this where it's like, hey, when a creature card hits your graveyard, then make a creature token. It's escaping me right now what exactly that would be. But yeah, basically, hey, when you're milling, you are essentially able to then pair with this and then, yeah, make more creature tokens, mill more, surveil more, you know what I mean. Basically, get things in your graveyard, keep things on top. It's very interesting, and again, a low-to-the-ground, creature-based strategy could really utilize something like this. Thinking of that one, Shizo, the Caretaker one. Yeah, that one could definitely utilize it. Moving on. Wisp Drinker Vampire. This is actually the only translated version, I believe, that is currently out. A 2/4 Vampire Rogue with Flying that costs 4 mana in Orzhov. Does anyone else find it kind of hard to determine what colors these are when you're just looking at this and be like, it's kind of a little obvious, but not really? Anyways, whenever a creature with power 2 or less enters battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So this is yet another way to drain your opponents quite a bit. It's kind of like a impact tremors in Orzhov, but more specific. So again, you're basically like, hey, creature's coming into play. Cool. I will drain my opponents. And again, actually, yeah, you can take advantage of course, creature tokens. So again, any kind of a, aristocrat strategy usually likes the death triggers. This one likes ETB, and it can kind of play around the same thing if you've got a bunch of creature fodder that, again, is going to be low to the ground, which most Orzhov aristocrat-style strategies are like, yeah, it's a 1-1 or a 2-2 or whatnot. We're sacrificing all of them anyways. Doesn't matter. Them coming to play, them draining. That's nice. On top of that, pay 7, creature control power, 2 or less, gain death touch and lifelink on turn until turn. That can be quite massive, of course. Plays really well into, well, if you've got life gain synergies in there as well, or if you've got like first strike or double strike. So yeah, there's some interesting with this kind of a card. Moving on. This one is absolutely crazy. Not as crazy as the next one, which is the main card I want to talk about, though. Flatsome Jetsam. Flatsome is for 1 in a Simic color. Mill 3 cards, investigate. Now, that's not crazy at all. What is crazy is Jetsam. And I'm actually kind of glad that this one is very specifically in Sultai, because this is a crazy powerful effect. 6 mana. Each opponent mills 3 cards. Then you may cast a spell from each opponent's graveyard without paying its mana cost. If a spell cast away from a graveyard, exile instead. Okay. This is pretty crazy. Again, this is somehow an uncommon. This is somehow an uncommon effect. I do not know how. I do not know how this Diluvian Primordial Plus type of effect is uncommon. Diluvian Primordial is 1 more mana, okay? It is in blue. It can fit into more decks out there. It's also a 5/5 flyer that you can use to use the ETB of. That being said, it is restricted to just instants and sorceries, and it's also not milling players. So essentially, what's in your opponent's graveyards? Oh, cool. Okay, that player's got a good instant. That one's got a good sorcery. That one doesn't have either. I get 2 things. This one's like, no. Hey, don't worry about it. I got your back. Even if there's nothing in there, I got your back. Don't worry about it, okay? Cast me, mills up things, and cast 3 spells for free. Free! Crazy. Absolutely crazy in how this actually works. Yeah, this can be a really good card to get out there, copy maybe the Swarm Intelligence, get even more things. Again, this counts not only its sorceries, it also counts planeswalkers, creatures. You basically like a reanimation spell as well. It's absolutely crazy that this is somehow an uncommon. And again, for just 6 mana, I do not know how. Yeah, and again, this is one of those cards you show someone like 20 years ago, this card like, oh my gosh, what in the world is going on? Speaking of which, here we go. The reason for the season, Insidious Roots. An enchantment for black and green. The second I read this, I had to triple check that this is uncommon. I just kept looking at it like, that can't be right. Also, that art's really cool. Creature tokens you control have tap at 1 mana of any color. Okay, there has to be a limiting factor on this. There's no way that this is an uncommon for 2 mana that does that. Let's keep reading. Whenever 1 or more creature cards leave your graveyard, create a 0/1 green planet creature token, then put a counter each planet. What in the world is going on? This is upside paired with upside. This is a... Everything is a mana dork. Everything. I do say yes, everything. And it actually should say, okay, just creature tokens. But again, if you're playing this in a deck, you have an absurd amount of creature tokens. And also this somehow makes you creature tokens to make you even more mana dorks, which also makes those mana dorks, those plants, larger and larger every single time this triggers. So you can have an army of just plants like, Avenger of Zendikar style that also can just tap for mana. And it's just 2 mana. Why is this an uncommon, Wizards? Why? This makes no sense. This has been better than like half the rares we've seen in this set. What in the world is going on? This is basically Cryptolith Right with a slight restriction on it and slightly better in a deck that can obviously use and abuse getting creatures in and out of graveyards and being like, hey, cool, let's just make a ton of plants that become massive that we can tap for an absurd amount of mana. Yeah, I mean, it's worse than Cryptolith Right in that it, is more specific in its mana cost and can't fit in nearly as many decks. But still, if you have a deck that can utilize this, if you have a deck that makes creature tokens like, an Abzan Aristocrat stack, there you go. Have fun. Go crazy. I don't think those decks needed another Cryptolith Rights, though, or a way to just make an absurd amount of extra creature tokens on top of that also get large. What is going on, Wizards? Are you kidding me? What is happening? Again, I'm not going to say mythic level, but it creeps up there a little bit. It might be, really, but it's definitely better than a lot of the rares we've seen. Not a lot, but many. Like I said, over half. But still, it's not an uncommon card. What is going on? Who is in charge of this? Who's in charge of there? Maybe no one. Okay, my rant is over. Art is beautiful. It's a cool card. Yeah, if you have a creature-based strategy that has colors, definitely consider it. Even if you don't have one that like says like, oh, I really care about bringing creatures in and out of my graveyard. Nope, even if you don't have that, cool. You can still get a lot of value out of this. And if you do have that, again, any kind of recursion, any kind of exiling, whatever it is, good luck to your opponents because you're going to have an absurd amount of mana and potentially a plant army that just takes them over. And now as this episode is coming to a close, well, let me know in the comments below. How in the world was that an uncommon? Let me know. There's no reason it should have been. There's no, I mean, am I upset about it? I'm not really upset about it. I'm just more surprised because like, yeah, I mean, it might be budget friendly. I highly doubt it's going to be budget friendly, but if it is, I can use it. Cool. But that also means that it's probably going to see a ton of play out there and it's going to be like, oh gosh, another Cryptolith Right type card. Great. Now, all of your creatures, including the ones that this makes, can tap for mana. Fantastic. You've got 40 mana in a turn. You worked really hard for that. Yeah, okay, anyways. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on all these. Make sure you check out the card list link in the description below. Stay tuned for more exciting quick takes and spoilers. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.